name is Michele Vitti, and I'm an artist at Waltham Mills, and I'm here in my studio to demonstrate my process of eco-printing. Eco-printing is a form of direct contact printing. You take plant material and lay it down on paper or fabric, roll it up, and then steam it for a couple of hours. The pigment from the leaves transfers to the paper, and sometimes you get a beautiful print. Sometimes you don't get any print at all. It's hard to tell what it's going to do. It has to do with how much tannin is in the leaves, what time of year you've picked the leaves, where you've gotten them from, so there are a lot of variables. But as a printmaker and a mixed media artist, I use eco-printed papers as a base for other projects. When they just come out of the pot, they're kind of unremarkable. They're interesting as pictures of leaves. And I think that this is cherry tree leaves. This is another piece that this is just how it came out of the pot. And if the leaves are interesting shapes, but there's no contrast, and the piece of paper is not very interesting in and of itself. But it would make a beautiful cover for a book, for example, or to go back into it with drawing. This is one that I made that has a lot of nice contrast, and this is the point at which I discovered that if you use iron, rusty nails or rusty anything, in the process, the work comes out, the leaves print much darker. This is a little accordion book that I made, and what I did was I went back into this paper with watercolor and some ink and a little bit of collage. On the back, I used a stamp that I had carved of these medieval birds and put that on the back of the book. And then most of the time what I do is I use the eco-printing paper as a base for, this is a silk screen on top of eco-printed paper. You can see that the base of the paper is not very defined, but I thought that the colors were really nice. Here's another example of printing with silk screen on top of the eco-prints. Here are the supplies we're going to be using for the eco-printing today. I have a pile of paper that I've soaked. I'll tell you about that in a minute. I have 3 rusty tin cans. I've used them over and over and over again. The rustier the better. I have some string to tie the paper up onto the cans. I have my pot. This was a pasta pot that my grandmother used. I had it in my basement for years. It's now become a dyeing pot. I have leaves, so today we'll be working with oak, raspberry, maple, cherry, rose, willow. I have some yarrow leaves, which I've never tried before, and some goldenrod, which I also haven't tried. And I have some flower petals, marigold, and asters. I'm starting by just sprinkling some of these aster petals on this page. And then I'm just going to place some leaves on the paper in some random kind of design. I'm told that the back part of the leaf is the one that transfers the most color. What I've done is I've soaked the paper in water with a little bit of alum, which you can get in a spice store, and also a little bit of iron water. Basically, I took some rusty nails and put them in a jar with some water and vinegar and let them sit for 2 weeks. And that's what I got. It lasts forever. I also dipped the leaves in a little bit of treated iron water and blot them. So I'm putting some maple leaves, some rose, I could tell, and I think maybe we'll just put a raspberry here. Then I'm going to sandwich this paper on top of it, and I'm going to get something on the back of this paper as well. So you often have your choice of which page you think looks better. And it also works really well for making artist books because you have paper that has something on both sides. I'm going to make sure that I get the yarrow in this one because I'm curious about what's going to happen. I don't really pay a huge amount of attention to what I'm doing at this point. What I've learned is I try to leave space. What I used to do is just pile a whole bunch of leaves on top, and then I just get this sort of chaotic piece of paper. Using natural materials makes me feel very happy. And here's the last page. Let's see, what haven't I used? Here's some raspberry. Raspberry leaves usually transfer well, and I've started the pot boiling. And they have to steam for about 2 hours. The paper doesn't get immersed in the water. It really does steam, holds itself together a little bit. And then I take my can and I roll. This is a pretty thick bundle. Usually I do about maybe 2 per can, 2 or 3 per can, but and wrap it. And what I get, interesting, because the string, I use the same string over and over again. It has a color to it, kind of a rust color, so random stripes on the back of the paper, which is also interesting. So I'm just going to tie this up, I'm going to put it in the pot, and I'll be back to unwrap. Yeah, this is my grandmother's, my father's mother's pasta pot, and I actually have a picture of her cooking with this pot on the stove. It's basically, I put these candle holders in it, and then I put this piece of rust, these pieces of rust in the bottom, and then I put this metal plate on top. I put water in the bottom, and then I put my papers that are being printed on top. I put it on this hot plate and I cook it for 2 hours. Here we are, ready to unwrap. I have the finished pieces of paper, and we'll see what we got. I really like this part of it, and I love the foraging part of it. I think those are my 2 favorite. I let this steam for 2 hours, and then I let it sit overnight. I don't usually have the patience to do that, but I needed to leave, so I left it. It's a little harder to do it when it's steamed overnight because it's already dry, so it curled in the shape of the can. But we'll still see what we got. These are the raspberry leaves. You can see that they show up pretty well, and also the marigold petals made lots of spots of gold, yellow, orange. So, okay, and here's the yarrow or experiment. The other side of this looks quite beautiful. I like the delicacy of the yarrow, just little, kind of little dots. And then we have, on the other side, not too much definition, but nice color. And these are the oak leaves. Oak leaves always leave a really nice, kind of ghost-like impression. Maple, which showed up on both sides. Here it is on this piece of paper, and here it is. I think this is the best one that we got. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing this echo printing process. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions about anything that I talked about, please get in touch with me. You can find my email on my website, www.mvitti.com. Bye-bye.